South Africa, the Rainbow Nation, a land of contrasts and contradictions, a place of stunning beauty and vibrant culture, from the bustling markets filled with the aroma of spices and the rhythm of traditional dances, to the breathtaking landscapes that stretch as far as the eye can see. But beneath the surface, a deep wound still festers. A wound that has not fully healed, despite the passage of time and the efforts of many. It's the scar of apartheid, a system that divided people by the color of their skin. A system that created a chasm so wide, it still echoes in the lives of millions today. We're told apartheid is over, the laws have changed, the signs have been taken down, and the Constitution now promises equality for all. And yes, on paper, it's gone. But its ghost lingers. It haunts the abandoned buildings and the faded signs that once dictated where people could live, work, and play. It whispers in the economic disparities, the segregated neighborhoods, the unequal opportunities. The wealth gap is stark, with affluent areas often just a stone's throw away from impoverished townships. In South Africa, the past is never truly past. It's a paradox. The country moves forward, yet the shadows of history cling tightly, influencing the present and shaping the future. We have a black president, a black majority government. Icons like Nelson Mandela have paved the way for a new era. Yet, many black South Africans still live in poverty, confined to the margins. Their daily lives are a testament to the enduring legacy of inequality. Meanwhile, white South Africans, though a minority, still hold much of the wealth. The luxurious homes and thriving business districts tell a story of privilege that persists. This isn't just about history, it's about the present, it's about the future. The young generation, growing up in a diverse yet divided society, faces the challenge of bridging these gaps. The question is, how can a nation heal when the wounds of the past continue to bleed into the present? The journey towards true reconciliation and unity is ongoing, and it requires the collective effort of every South African to build bridges, mend hearts, and create a future where everyone can thrive. For nearly 50 years, apartheid ruled South Africa. This oppressive system, which lasted from 1948 to 1994, was a dark chapter in the nation's history, leaving scars that are still visible today. It was a system built on a simple, brutal idea: white supremacy. The government enforced racial segregation and discrimination, ensuring that the white minority held all the power and resources. Black people were treated as second-class citizens in their own land. They were stripped of their rights and forced to carry passbooks, which controlled their movements and employment opportunities. Apartheid laws dictated every aspect of life. From the schools children could attend to the hospitals they could visit. Every facet of daily existence was governed by these oppressive regulations, where you could live, work, even love. Interracial relationships were forbidden, and families were torn apart by the cruel enforcement of these laws. Black people were forced into separate, underdeveloped townships, far from the opportunities of the cities. These areas were overcrowded and lacked basic amenities, making life incredibly difficult. The Bantu Education Act ensured black children received an inferior education designed to keep them trapped in menial labor. This act was a deliberate attempt to limit their potential and maintain the status quo. Separate amenities laws meant black and white people couldn't even share a park bench. Public facilities, from restrooms to beaches, were segregated, reinforcing the notion of racial superiority. Apartheid was more than just segregation. It was a systematic attempt to dehumanize an entire race, stripping them of their dignity and humanity. It was a systematic attempt to dehumanize an entire race. The regime used violence and intimidation to maintain control, with police brutality and detention centers being common tools of oppression. And its legacy still casts a long shadow over South Africa. The effects of apartheid are still felt today, as the nation continues to grapple with inequality and the long road to true reconciliation and healing. Apartheid wasn't just about social control. It was a system meticulously designed to maintain economic dominance by the white minority over the black majority. It was about economic control too. The policies ensured that wealth, resources, and opportunities were concentrated in the hands of white South Africans. White South Africans were given the best land, the best jobs, the best opportunities. They lived in well-developed neighborhoods with access to quality education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Black South Africans were left with the scraps. They were forced into overcrowded townships with poor living conditions, limited access to education, and menial jobs that paid barely enough to survive. The result? An economic chasm between black and white that persists even today. The wealth disparity is glaring, with white South Africans still holding a disproportionate share of the country's wealth. South Africa is one of the most unequal countries in the world. The contrast between affluent suburbs and impoverished townships is stark and heartbreaking. The wealth gap is a stark reminder of apartheid's enduring legacy. Decades of systemic discrimination have left deep scars on the economic landscape. Black South Africans are more likely to be unemployed, more likely to live in poverty. The unemployment rate among black South Africans is significantly higher than that of their white counterparts. The playing field is far from level. Children born into poverty face immense challenges in breaking the cycle and achieving economic stability. It's like running a race with a heavy weight chained to your ankle. The systemic barriers make it incredibly difficult for black South Africans to catch up. True economic freedom for all South Africans remains a distant dream. However, there is hope. Many are working tirelessly to bridge the gap, advocating for policies that promote equality and uplift marginalized communities. Community programs, educational initiatives, and economic empowerment projects are steps in the right direction. The journey is long, but with collective effort, a more equitable future is possible. Drive through any South African city, and you'll see it. The stark spatial divide. Wealthy suburbs, mostly white, impoverished townships, mostly black, apartheid's legacy written on the landscape. These aren't just physical boundaries, they're barriers to opportunity. Limited access to quality healthcare, education, and job opportunities. The cycle of poverty becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's easy to see why so many black South Africans feel trapped, like the promise of a better life is always just out of reach. Section 5, Education, Separate and Unequal. Education is supposed to be the great equalizer, but in South Africa it often reinforces the inequalities of the past. Apartheid's Bantu education system left a legacy of underfunded, under-resourced schools in black communities. Many black children attend schools that lack basic necessities, textbooks, qualified teachers, even proper sanitation. It's a stark contrast to the well-equipped schools in predominantly white areas. This disparity in education perpetuates the cycle of poverty and inequality. It's a tragic waste of potential. Section 6, The Politics of Race. South Africa has come a long way since the dark days of apartheid. We have a multiracial democracy, a black president. But beneath the surface, racial tensions simmer. The scars of the past run deep. Some white South Africans feel threatened by the changing power dynamics. Some black South Africans feel frustrated by the slow pace of change. The challenge is to build a truly inclusive democracy, one that acknowledges the injustices of the past while working towards a more equitable future. Section 7. The Stain of Prejudice. Racism isn't just about laws and policies, it's about attitudes, beliefs, and prejudices that run deep. And in South Africa, those prejudices haven't disappeared overnight. You see it in the casual use of racial slurs, the stereotypes that persist, the subtle and not so subtle forms of discrimination. It's a constant reminder that the past is not yet gone. We need to confront these prejudices head-on. Education, dialogue, and understanding are crucial to dismantling the structures of racism. Section 8. Truth, Reconciliation, and Justice. After apartheid ended, South Africa embarked on a remarkable journey of truth and reconciliation. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, or TRC, gave victims of apartheid-era atrocities a platform to share their stories and perpetrators a chance to seek amnesty. It was a bold experiment, an attempt to heal the wounds of the past. But for many, justice remains elusive. Perpetrators who didn't come forward escaped accountability. The economic inequalities that fueled apartheid persist. The TRC was a crucial step but not a cure-all. True reconciliation requires more than just acknowledging the past. It demands justice, equality, and a genuine commitment to redress the wrongs of apartheid. Section 9. Land. A Wound Unhealed. Land. It's at the heart of South Africa's identity, its history, and its future. Under apartheid, black South Africans were systematically dispossessed of their land. It was a theft on a grand scale. Land reform is crucial to righting this historical wrong. But it's a complex issue, fraught with challenges. There's resistance from some white landowners, concerns about the impact on agricultural production, and the need to ensure land reform benefits all South Africans. Finding a just and equitable solution to the land question is essential for healing the divisions of the past and securing a more prosperous future for all.